On Friday in Winnipeg, a sweat lodge was unveiled at the Archdiocese of St. Boniface to honor a grandfather rock on its grounds. The lodge was created in partnership with Elder Clayton Sandy and students from Murdoch McKay Collegiate. It's part of the church's efforts to build renewed relationships with the Indigenous community. Sierra Bettens was at the ceremony and has more.
This rock has been the centerpiece of the Archdiocese of St. Boniface Heritage Garden since it was gifted about a decade ago. But Archbishop Albert Legat says it took on a new meaning after a conversation with Elder Mary Cushane a few years ago.
She said, well, you know, in Native spirituality and of several First Nations peoples, the rock has a very, very spiritual, important value. And I asked her, well, tell me more about it.
It became a grandfather rock, and on Friday morning, a sweat lodge was unveiled to honor it. The project was spearheaded last summer after Legat met knowledge keeper Clayton Sandy from the Sioux Valley Dakota Nation.
And last July or August, he called me here and introduced me to the rock and said that give me the history of the rock, and then asked if I had any ideas what we could do with it. And this is what I came up with.
Students from Murdoch McKay Collegiate in Winnipeg built the lodge.
They did the measurements, and then I took them out to my sweat lodge just to look at the whole design.
The students also participated in the sweat, an experience Vice Principal Jordan Yvonne Moreau says was transformative.
This project was always more about learning than just learning about a sweat lodge. For us, it is about learning with and from each other, about learning how to connect, and about learning how we contribute to the community that we're part of.
Around the lodge, panels with teaching in English, French, Dakota, and Anishinaabe share the significance of the grandfather rock and the ceremony.
We call them grandfather rocks. I usually bring about 21 into the sweat lodge, and we heat them up for a couple of hours, and when that water hits that rocks, the grandfathers are giving up their lives to help us heal.
Legat says the Archdiocese has been working to meet the Truth and Reconciliation 60th Call to Action. It calls on the Church to collaborate with Indigenous spiritual leaders to teach clergy to honor Indigenous spirituality, acknowledge the role the Church played in the residential school system, and prevent future harm.
We needed to apologize, not just the people who ran the residential schools, but as the Church in Canada, in our various dioceses, we needed to know and we needed to apologize to go forward.
Legat says the Archdiocese is also looking to transfer title to some of its land for elders to share teachings and hold ceremonies. Sandy says he's looking forward to continuing their partnership.
This is just part of that journey. And I think the more that we can get in front of people and provide our culture, our history, stories, it should be. It's all about building relationships, eh?
He encourages those in Winnipeg to visit the lodge at 151 Avenue de la Cathédrale. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.